I'm thankful I'm alive. I could be gone with the rubble because I didn't want to leave.
We're not victims, we are survivors.
We, the Army Corps of Engineers, are on the ground working shoulder to shoulder with our federal, state, and local partners.
3 months ago, LA wildfires caused catastrophic damage in the Palisades and Altadena communities. Flames ripped through homes, displacing thousands of people. You just heard a little snippet there. While the recovery is long, the community has come together, determined to help survivors rebuild and start over.
LA County Supervisors Kathryn Barger and Lindsey Horvath are here to talk about where the efforts stand this morning. Good morning to both of you, and thank you for taking the time. I know it's been a long 3 months. It also is hard to believe it's been only 3 months.
That's right.
Supervisor Horvath, I want to start with you and talk about PCH. We've been talking to a lot of small businesses. They amazingly withstood the fires, but now they're saying even after withstanding the fires, they face closures or going out of business because of the access issues. Can you tell us when PCH might reopen?
We are working diligently with Caltrans to find the best options to get it open as quickly as possible. But as you also heard, our Army Corps partners need that access, especially for those coastal properties. They completed the area around La Costa Beach, and so we're now moving on to another section, trying to clear those coastal properties to be able to open up that lane. We're also trying to figure out if there maybe are ways that we can open up in the evenings to allow people to come into the businesses for some periods of time. We're trying to get creative, but we know it's a challenge. But that PCH, it just reminds you what a critical lifeline it is to the community at a time like this, because we're undergrounding utilities. We are trying to clear those properties and help people rebuild. So it's a challenge.
It is a challenge. There's so many challenges in all of this, right? Supervisor Barger, we do want to talk about the reconstruction process. I recently went out to visit a friend who lost their home in Altadena, and everyone wants to start clearing, wants to start rebuilding. Is it going to go with the old grid, or are there going to be new ways that the rebuilding process happens?
Well, as it relates to permitting, there has to be a new way because the current system's just not working and it's not really addressing the urgency of getting this done. And my goal is to make sure that when people come into the permitting center, that it's a one-stop, and literally a one-stop, and that it can be done within 30 days. But in answer to your question, I mean, I talked to a woman on Friday who wants to rebuild. Right. And she doesn't want to do 2 stories, she wants to do 1. Her lot will accommodate it. And it's going to be like for like in terms of square footage. We need to bend with the people, and we need to listen to what their issues are as it relates to whether they want to do an ADU in the interim process. And we need to look at where our permitting process needs to be revised. And this is an opportunity for us as a county to rethink how we permit, because we know that this fire has shown us just how precarious our housing shortage is and what inventory is available. And so we need to do a better job.
And we know you all have set up the one-stop facility centers for people to go get permits, also to apply for FEMA reimbursements. Considering the federal political climate right now, do you expect the FEMA reimbursements to be delayed?
We know it's going to be delayed. I mean, even whatever the administration is, it's always behind. I'm hoping it's not exceeding what is the norm. We've budgeted that in our budget, and I know we talked about it at the board meeting, and our CEO has acknowledged that. So, you know, we're going to submit all the claims. I think I know the state's been an incredible partner, so we'll see.
And we also stood up local funds as well. The counties raised over $52 million, some of that from county funds, some from philanthropy, and we're continuing to raise money to help in the interim to make sure that we're supporting residents, small business owners, the workers. You know, we know that there are needs right now that are not being covered by that initial $770 from FEMA. So we want to make sure that we're getting checks in hands. We've already issued some, and we will continue to do that work and continue to call upon the community to step up for those who really need that help.
There are so many people who need help. Supervisor Horvath, there's been so much conversation about the hydrant issue, the water pressure issue. Do you see the county potentially taking more control and accountability over LADWP's maintenance of these hydrants and some of these other issues?
Well, LADWP is in charge of their infrastructure, but when I was chair of the board, the very first motion I introduced was actually our county's water plan, and we unanimously passed it to look at our entire region's infrastructure. We know that in order for us to have a resilient future, we need to have access to clean drinking water and water access for times of emergency like we've seen this year. And so we're already thinking about where we need to be making significant investments, not only to recover from what has been impacted, but to build out infrastructure. You know, I just was with residents in Topanga over the weekend who were talking about District 29 versus Las Virgenes Water District and some of the innovations that Las Virgenes is bringing forward to have access to water more locally, which keeps the cost down.
Right.
So we are looking at how we invest in our infrastructure. But you know, the challenge that we saw our firefighters facing was they needed to access water in so many different places. The county actually learned from our experience in Woolsey and other fires, so now we have water redundancies. So on our side, you know, in many cases, it wasn't that we were running out of water, it was low water pressure, just as you said. And so that even becomes a challenge when you're tapping so many places at once to fight such a wildfire.
A lot of lessons to be learned from these fires. In light of the tariffs and in light of the county's $4 billion settlement recently for the sexual molestation claims, I want to go back to the funding issue, this time at the county level. Do you think there will be sufficient funds?
For rebuilding?
For rebuilding and recovery.
You know, it's going to be important. I'm working with nonprofits that are in it to help people navigate the system, because we know that a construction loan is 7 to 8%, and that's going to price them out. They're not going to be able to rebuild. So we're going to work with the private partners to think of innovative ways, similar to the VA loans. Many don't even know that there are loans out there that they may qualify for. The Small Business Administration has provided loans of up to $500,000. Many of my constituents access that, recognizing that many are underinsured or no insurance. So we're going to be working moving forward. Obviously, the county is not in a position financially to do it, nor have we ever been, even without the $4 billion settlement. So we need to be innovative in how we look at resources that are going to be available. And working with this Department of HUD, we're going to have to. I mean, they're going to have to work with us.
And also leveraging scale. I'm so proud of our Sunset Mesa community, which came together on their own, and they started interviewing designers and landscape design, all kinds of professionals to say, you know, we have close to 400 homes that were destroyed in this fire. We know we need to rebuild, but if we do it at scale, it will help us with our cost on labor and on materials and everything. And so they really want to set themselves apart as a model. How do we rebuild resiliently? How do we think about fire safety? And how do we work together as a community? And that helps keep costs down too. So I think taking that example and seeing how we can even broaden it further to make sure that we are leveraging every opportunity we have to get costs brought down and buy once, given the challenges that we're facing right now. It's so volatile.
And you know, that's a good point. In Altadena, I know there are a group that have gotten together and hired an architect and have decided what they like in its craftsmen, and they are really going to capitalize on that. To Lindsey's point, we need to do more educating about and empowerment of residents to know what they can do when they think outside the box.
Along those lines, you know, visiting both fire zones and talking to people, there's so many older members of the community who are not going to be coming back. It's just the reality of it. They either can't afford to do it, or it's the timing in their life, it's just going to take too long, you know, for them to rebuild. How are you seeing your communities change, and what difficulties will there be with that change moving forward?
Well, there are some housing solutions. I know that Steadfast LA, for example, has identified temporary housing structures that can be put up in just a few months. So they're looking to identify locations where they can help with those kinds of housing solutions for once the properties are cleared. And we already have hundreds of properties that have been cleared of phase 2 debris removal. So we're excited about the progress that we're making. But it is, you know, it is, even if we rebuilt exactly as it was before, it still won't feel the same. And especially if we're not able to bring all of the community members back. And so making sure that they have secure housing solutions, that they're able to be safe and cared for. We know that in some cases people were in assisted living facilities, and making sure they have the right kind of care and support. And even for families who will come back, it's not enough just to be in your house. They want to make sure their schools are back for their kids, and we've been clearing the schools in the Palisades area. They want to make sure their groceries back and the local shops that made their community. So there's a lot of work to be done, and we're working with everyone individually, our business owners, to come up with those plans about how we really help them recreate community.
I want to ask you about the schools in the Palisades. LAUSD announced that all the debris has been removed from the school sites. Are we on track, as promised, to expedite reopening the schools? Yes, we are. I mean, it's pretty remarkable the pace at which we've been able to do the debris removal. It's the fastest ever in history, and you know, I say that proud to have had the opportunity to bring people together, also knowing that people are still suffering. And every bit of progress helps get people into their communities faster, helps them feel that they're actually going to be able to make it home. So that's one win, one in the win column. And that said, though, a lot of parents say that it happened too fast, and they don't feel safe sending their kids back because they believe that there's still toxins that can make their kids sick. What do you say to that? Well, we've been learning from our federal partners who've been doing this in many more cases than just ours, that the process that they've now undertaken in terms of clearing 6 inches of debris and making sure that that's removed, based on their previous practices, they only removed 3 inches of debris. That was what they considered to be the total impact. Now they do 6 as a standard. We also in our Department of Public Health in the county are doing soil sampling. We've partnered with academic partners to actually work with individual residents to have the opportunity to have their properties tested for free. And so we're trying to expand every opportunity to make sure that people have that confidence. Of course, we don't know exactly, unless they recently tested before the fires, there may have been pre-existing conditions, and so we also have to contend with that. But the most important thing that we need to do is listen to our residents and make sure that we're providing them all the tools that they need to feel safe coming home.
And it is unfortunate in these situations, you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Right?
You've got to make a decision, though. I think that's, for me, you know, obviously we have issues as it relates to air quality, and so we put air quality monitors up. And there's a lack of trust in government overall. But at the end of the day, our job is to make decisions and live by them. And, you know, it's something that I think long and hard about when I make that decision, but I'll stand by it.
I think that's important for people to hear. So thank you both so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate it. And if you have a story idea you'd like to share about the LA fires, we'd like to hear from you. You can scan that QR code you see right there on your screen. You can send a message to as well to kcalnews.com/tips. Let's go check on our weather now with Paul. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to you at home.